When you think of national/international brands compared to local brands, right? Obviously, the bigger brands have more money to do more marketing and obviously work with bigger athletes with bigger audiences. And that's what most people are seeing. And they're thinking, okay, well, I got to go after the big brands. I need to go, get my $1 million deal from Nike. And then they get disappointed, right? When they can't even get somebody on the phone or connect with somebody on LinkedIn or get, on Instagram, wherever the case may be. But more oftentimes than not, what's not shown is the fact that, for one, these smaller businesses and these smaller brands still need marketing in some way, shape, or form, whether they like to admit it or not, or whether they know it or not. But then even more so, the ones that know it and want marketing, right? Yeah, they might not have $1 million to give you, right?
Small businesses, most of them don't have a true marketing team, right? They don't have the budget for a marketing department and things of that nature. So having some of these skills, like social media skills, so even just using ChatGPT to create a social media calendar for the brand, for you to produce, and you learn all these operations, learn how to use Zapier to automate some of these processes where you create all the content. You have all the content that's going to go out every week or every other day or whatever the case may be. You learn all these skills and then you take it to the brand and then you say, hey, not only are you getting me for my social media following, but I'm actually coming up with the marketing plan, the marketing strategy, all of these things, and now you're getting a 2-for-1, and I am worth it because of XYZ.
Exactly. And that is something that isn't talked about enough. Like, I always tell my athletes, like, hey, like, I love working with some of these smaller brands because we have the opportunity to negotiate equity within it. But, sometimes I always say you're doing 100% of what you can do with 100% of the information you currently have, right? So they don't know that, okay, like, this is something that can be better for me long term unless somebody actually, and it's not just telling them, right? You have to like make sure that they visually, like, mentally understand what it looks like, because then imagine if, you partner with the local food brand, right? Everybody loves food. Mm-hmm. You partner with the local food brand. Let's just say hypothetically they're worth $200,000 at that current moment, right? But instead of, having them pay you in physical money, right? You say, you know what? I'll take 5% equity in this company, for me to do X, Y, and Z and deliverables. Like you said, this is already after you've in some way proved your value to them, because nobody's just going to give you equity of their company without knowing that you're actually going to do something to benefit it. And then boom, let's just say you are extremely good at building your own social media, building your own brand. You're also, because you are technically a part owner of this company now, right? You're doing social media posts to help drive traffic. Now, all of a sudden, let's just say within your entire college career, over the course of 4 years, this brand is able to build from that 200,000, let's just say, to $1 million, right? So instead of your 5% in a $200,000 company, right, you now have 5% in $1 million company. And if you, based on, whatever agreements and conversations you have and it was in the contract with the owner, let's just say you want to cash out now you just got $50,000 over 5% equity just because you put the time and energy to actually help build that brand. And that doesn't even include if it actually goes higher than that $1 million evaluation. So I'm glad that I feel like that's something that needs to be spoken about more, but not only spoken about, but educated on and like taught on how to bring value to someone and then be able to negotiate equity from there.
Understanding how to articulate your value, how to show what you have in your toolbox that can be leveraged as a value piece for them. Like, everybody wants to look at this number of, whatever it is, the social media following, and think that that's the only metric that matters.
The NCAA ruling has obviously, it's still in play, right? But the NCAA ruling is essentially saying that schools now have to, include athletes in the revenue share, which cuts out, in my opinion, some of what the collectives were initially doing, because now it puts more responsibility on the schools to make sure that they're actually delivering on what, is promised to these athletes, because athletes are pretty much getting the short end of the stick with, being promised X amount of dollars by collectives, and then they transfer to that school, and then all of a sudden the collective pulls out. But now if the athlete were to transfer, they're losing a year of eligibility, or they can't play, or whatever the case may be. So how do you think that this is, with the new revenue share model, how do you think it's going to change college sports, whether that's for the better, for the worse, for both?
Well, it could make it worse, but I was going to say it could potentially make some of those that transfer portal that is the Wild Wild West. I was going to say it could slow it down, because there may be some, it depends on how everything shakes out. Because if, let's just say you're an athlete, you're at a school where you are helping drive a lot of revenue, you're going to think twice about moving or going somewhere else because of the revenue share, right? You're helping drive that revenue. And I would think that
overall, I think the transfer portal is an amazing thing. It gives athletes the opportunity of being able to play on a team that they might not otherwise have been able to play on. But in the same sense, I also feel like with the new revenue share model that's coming into play, it could also entice athletes to move more, simply because they still haven't outlined exactly how much each sport is going to get paid. And if one school is bringing in, let's just say, because the revenue model says the schools have to share up to 20 to 22% or something like that. So let's just say one school is bringing in, let's just say $1 billion. This is an example, right? $1 billion in revenue, right? Compared to another school that's bringing in only $500 million, right? Now it's like, okay, well, yeah, I'm getting PT here, but this school could basically pay me double for doing the same thing. Yeah, I might not be a championship contender, but at the same time, a lot of these athletes don't even play for championships anymore. They don't play to win.
Playing time below money now, or is it still above money?
If there was one piece of information that you could give the audience, the athletes that are listening, what would it be? Why did you give it to them? And how could they enact on that information?
I would say dream big and fail fast. Go out, dream as big as possible, come up with the biggest possible dream that you can come up with, and then immediately go execute